This is a red alert, folks. Donald Trump has shut down the White House. He's closed all events to the press as he plunges further into hell, as he is now engaging in more war crimes, more terroristic acts in the Middle East, more of this never-ending war that no Americans want. Let's talk about what's going down right now. If you look at Donald Trump's schedule right now, and you can see it right here, it's all closed off to the press for the rest of this day, following his catastrophic national address last night where he ranted and raved like a lunatic. He went to Barack Ravid, however, his personal stenographer over at Axios, and he leaked the following information: that more war crimes are about to be committed, a possible ground invasion is about to take place as well, at least with U.S. Special Forces, and Donald Trump believes that this is going to force Iran to make a deal with him and to negotiate with him. There was a deal. It was called the Memorandum of Understanding. And there was a deal before that former President Obama entered into. It was called the JCPOA. But Donald Trump further bringing the United States down this route of absolute terrorism that's being committed as he's blowing up bridges in Iran, blowing up civilian infrastructure, killing civilians right now. And by the way, Iran is responding powerfully as well. I'll talk about the Iranian response. They hit a desalinization facility in Kuwait, according to Kuwaiti authorities. They hit the Babco oil refinery in Bahrain. They hit numerous American military bases. There's satellite footage of that. And now Iran says they will be going after the various ports of the Arab nations. Pakistan is saying, well, Iran, if you attack Saudi Arabia, we're going to have to join the war on the side of Saudi Arabia. So a full-fledged global war, essentially involving the world right now, is taking place as a result of Donald Trump's disgusting and despicable terroristic behavior. Here's what Barack Ravid posts. The Trump regime notified Israel. He says administration, I call it regime. The Trump regime notified Israel it is sending dozens more refueling planes to Israel ahead of a potential expansion of military operations against Iran. 3 U.S. and Israeli officials said. It's always 3, and it's always the same 3 sources. In my view, it's always Trump and Witkoff and Kushner, and then sometimes it's J.D. Vance, depending on which story it is. And so here's what's being discussed that's about to happen. Among the options being considered are bombing Iranian infrastructure facilities like power plants, conducting more attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities in order to bury Iran's enriched uranium even deeper, and bombing the Pickaxe Mountain underground site that is suspected to be a facility in the making. Trump hasn't made a final decision yet, but he appears willing to escalate the war to cause enough damage that the Iranian regime will open the Strait of Hormuz and accept Trump's nuclear demands. Trump could order an escalation in the coming days. U.S. and Israeli officials say, well, the escalation has already begun. He started blowing up the bridges yesterday. He continued down that path today. I mean, you take a look right here. This is the Kabahar Maritime Control Tower that was destroyed. You can see right here Pete Hegseth also posting photos of the war crimes that are being committed. The United States struck 6 bridges overnight near Bandar Abbas on Iran's coast. And if you speak to military experts and you look at the positioning of the bridges the U.S. is striking as well, the U.S. is striking the bridges, I might add, with civilians crossing the bridges. And the strikes appear aimed at cutting this coastal stretch off from supply lines to the rest of Iran, possibly as a prelude to a U.S. invasion of nearby Keshem Island, or at least to create the impression that U.S. will be invading Keshem Island. And you'll recall over the weekend, I said that if you look at how the U.S. is doing the bombing, it looked like they were prepping, I said this on Monday and Tuesday, prepping the terrain for a ground invasion of special forces of Keshem, and we're seeing more signs of that. And also the view that you're going to bomb them into submission, and they're going to say, Donald, because you bombed us so bad, now we want to do a deal with you, Donald. Now we want to make a deal. No. What this is only going to do is have Iran climb the escalatory ladder that we're seeing. And what this will likely do is further expand the war. And it will ultimately, as I've predicted, lead to the U.S. ground invasion and a lot more crimes and massive, massive casualties by U.S. service members and also just generally in the region. So as I said, about 6 bridges destroyed by the United States. The Kandahar Maritime Tower was targeted and destroyed. Pete Hegseth posting its destruction like it is a trophy of his. A railway station, a civilian airport in Aranshar in southeastern Iran. Also, a lot of these strikes were near hospitals. I talked about how a child cancer hospital had to be evacuated because of the United States strikes. I'll just share with you this video right here. Again, evidence of a war crime being committed by the United States Navy. This is why Rubio wants to pull the United States out of the international, not in it, but he wants to destroy the international criminal courts and just complete, as he says, I want to just destroy its existence. Let me show you what what it looked like as the U.S. was destroying bridges. Here, let's play this clip. Here's how they're talking about it right now on state regime media. Fox, Jesse Waters, who 5 months ago was saying a great deal is right around the corner. He was, when he was not talking about high tea and just the horrific things I showed you on the video earlier, he was the bloodlust of, he's like, and we're bombing this, we're bombing that, we're bombing this. I mean, this is real sick, terroristic stuff, in my opinion. Here's what Jesse Waters said. Here, play this clip.
Fox News alert, it's infrastructure week in Iran. Their coastline's getting hammered. We're cutting off power and took out some major bridges, snapping their supply lines in half. Iranian state media is reporting their key railway station's a fireball. That station handles over 100 million tons of cargo a year from the Strait. It also sends oil to China. Now, that's not all. Last night, we took out command centers, air defenses, missile and drone sites, and coastal surveillance facilities all up and down the enemy coastline, and even hit targets deep inside near their capital. The blockade's holding strong. Today, Marines boarded a vessel, MT Wen Yao, in the Gulf of Oman to ensure compliance. Since the wall went back up, 1 blockade runner was disabled with a Hellfire missile. 3 turned around.
Now let's talk about the Iranian response. Iran's IRGC spokesperson had previously announced, if the United States dares to target Iran's infrastructure, we will destroy every last piece of infrastructure across the region as though it never existed. And Iran is making good on that right now. And Iran says, look, we have a lot more we can do to escalate, but let's talk about what's going on just in the past few hours. Yet another tanker that tried to exit through the so-called U.S. route in the Strait of Hormuz was attacked near Oman, and that was destroyed by a projectile. If you look at the Strait of Hormuz right now, it is completely closed. There have been a few ships that are using the IRGC route, but any ship that's tried to use the Oman route, and it's possible there are some ships that have turned off their transponders and maybe, they're doing a stealth trip that we can't see. But, we have pretty good satellite imagery of what's going on, and whether it's, Kepler or maritime traffic. I mean, there are lots of people who have eyes on this, that I'm looking at as well. And so there ain't no traffic happening. So it's at its traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, like its lowest level really since the war began. We're seeing oil prices shoot up. I mean, we're in a economic catastrophe. And don't get me started on that. Our strategic reserves have hit tank bottom, and that further causes Trump to panic and commit these war crimes. So we had that tanker that was just hit a few hours ago by Iran. What else? Kuwait announces that one of its power and water desalination plants was attacked by Iran, leading to a fire and damage to the plant's facilities right there. So that's a significant update as well. I'll show you this photo right here as well of one of the tankers massive damage to the tanker that was hit by Iran. And I'll talk to you in a moment about what Iran is saying to the U.S. Navy. Remember, the U.S. has 2 super carriers right now in the region. But let's just take a look right here at this massive impact and huge damage that was caused by the Iranian anti-ship missile, so you can see for yourself. Let's play it. Okay, now this is the commander of the IRGC Navy just issued the following warning to the U.S. The Americans are bringing themselves closer with every passing moment to the 0 hour for operations against CENTCOM's naval units in the region's water. Just wait. The movement and equipment of the this is what they're saying. I'm reading you what their statement is. The movement and equipment of the terrorist American military are under the surveillance of Iran's naval units. And they're within that 250, 300 kilometer point where Iran's able to strike them, pretty easily at this point. And so you have those 2 U.S. super carriers that are right there in the Persian Gulf, with the blockade that the U.S. is doing. And so we'll, of course, be paying attention to that escalation. And again, I think those ships are also there to facilitate a ground invasion, at least at first by U.S. Special Forces of Keshem. I think that's what's going to be coming. I think it's going to be an absolute disaster. But the IRGC Aerospace Force Commander Saeed Majad Musavi put out the following message. In our strategic calculation, every part of our territory is equally sacred, from Tehran to the South Iran in one indivisible whole. Our precise and effective strikes against the enemy, launched from across Iran, will continue until calm is restored to the southern coastline and the Strait of Hormuz. And we can talk about some of these strikes. Look, I'll show you the ones that I know that have satellite footage, but there do appear to be strikes in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in Oman's Ghanam area, in Jordan, in Erbil, Iraq. There were strikes in the United Arab Emirates, in Abu Dhabi. And again, we have satellite footage of it. The U.S., just think about this. The U.S. has basically blocked or banned U.S. companies to do private satellite footage because they don't want people to see this. But there are others who have the satellite footage, so you can look at before and after. I mean, this is the King Faisal Air Base in Jordan, right? Jordan's foreign minister and their leadership claims we don't have U.S. air bases here. I mean, you do. I mean, it's right there. And there was serious destruction there. Abu Dhabi Zayed military city, they say there was no destruction there. There was just a wayward fire that just happened to flare up when Iran was shooting its ballistic missiles and sending Shahed drones. But okay, we have the image. There were multiple buildings destroyed there. The Bapco oil refinery in Manama, Bahrain was hit as well. I'll show you. This is more from the air base in Jordan right there. That was hit. Also, the Iranian Kurdish opposition group, that's, right there. They were hit by Iran yesterday. I think they wasn't sure if it was drones or grenade launchers, but there appear to be at least 10 individuals from the Iranian Kurdish group that was there, and the Peshmerga who appear to have been killed in this Iranian strike. And again, there's a lot of Iranians who have been killed as well. Foreign Minister Araghchi of Iran put out the following post. Americans are being warned of foreign influence. How about the extensive Israeli campaign to bamboozle the U.S. administration into an unwinnable war of choice? Even worse, Israel is using U.S. taxpayer dollars to silence any critics. It will all soon unravel. And he's posting the Time magazine article that J.D. Vance talked about, how Trump's ex-campaign manager is running an Israeli influence operation to target the MAGA base. Now, at the same time, Donald Trump is putting more planes and more military equipment in Israel to then do a further attack and possible ground invasion of Iran. Israel's national security minister just held a press conference. His name is Ben Gvir, and he said the following. We go into the prisons and they wet themselves. I'm not joking. They wet themselves. They're afraid. Fear rules them, and that's how it should be. You should see what happens when we enter the prisons. They're afraid. One prison officer told me that when we entered Marwan Baghdadi's cell, he had tears in his eyes. We went into his cell. He started folding, backing down, becoming afraid. Today we speak to them exactly the way they should be spoken to, and it works. It works, my friend. Before October 7th, I was sitting in the cabinet. I told them, let's bomb Gaza, bomb Gaza, bomb Gaza. They looked at me as if I were crazy. Then Israel's finance minister, Smotrich, says, we're too careful about the enemy. And at times, we put our own soldiers at greater risk. That's not the moral approach. You have Kai Trump out there showing up on red carpet events. This is what the Trump family is doing. I just, while the American people are suffering, this is how the Trump family is living right now. And she seems to have that Donald Trump tan as well right there. And let me show you what's going on state regime media, which calls itself Fox right now as well. You have Lee Zeldin, Donald Trump's EPA director, who's out there saying the strait is open because of Donald Trump. The strait isn't open. What kind of deranged propaganda is this? Here, play this clip.
Well, President Trump, as soon as he came into office, declared a national energy emergency, created a National Energy Dominance Council. It's been a whole of government approach within this administration. And the worst thing is if the president did nothing with what was going on in the Middle East and allowed Iran to be able to close down the strait, to be able to charge tolls, to be able to control what comes in and out. The strait is open because of President Trump's leadership. And long term, what you have right now is a lot of other countries that have been heavily relying on the Middle East for their energy supplies for a long time, now looking to the United States.
Monica Crowley, Donald Trump's chief of protocol, who has an ambassadorship title. Thank you, Donald Trump. You've made FIFA amazing. I mean, actually, FIFA was amazing before Donald Trump turned it into some weird thing. I mean, we always know that FIFA as an organization is corrupt. People, we like football, or as we call it in the US, soccer. And then Trump does the cheating thing and the this and the that. And it's just like, okay, man, you just, we were definitely rooting for Team USA here, regardless of how horrible Trump was. But then he made it weird, and now he's going to go and show. The whole thing is bizarre. Here, play this clip.
Maria, we are so excited to host the World Cup final. It will take place at MetLife Stadium. And first things first, a huge thank you to President Trump, who in his first term heroically brought the 2026 World Cup to the United States. He did not anticipate being president, presiding over this, but here he is. So God works in all kinds of ways.
And then you have Mark Wayne Mullen this morning whining that ABC and NBC didn't cover Donald Trump's deranged speech live. I'll show this for you right here.
About the major networks not willing to carry the President of the United States address to the nation on election security. How shameful is that? I think it was ABC, NBC, and I don't know if CBS, did CBS carry it? Anyway, CBS carried it. So ABC and NBC not carrying that, why? What are they trying to cover up? Why wouldn't they want to inform the American people? Why are they calling themselves a news outlet if they're not actually trying to put the news out there? We wasn't giving spin on the election. The president wasn't trying to relitigate what happened in 2020, although he definitely could at this point. The president was giving...
Well, there you have it, folks. We'll keep you posted every step of the way, of course. Do me a favor if you can. Check out WTF America. Pre-order it right now if you can. It's currently, I think, 39 on Amazon's list on day one, which is good for a day one showing. We got to get that to number one. So pre-order it now. It's good because we just announced it, but anyway, it's dedicated to you, the Midas Mighty. If you're just pre-order it now if you can, and I can't wait to send this to you. Thanks everybody. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers.
Breaking news right now. My brothers and I wrote a book. It's called WTF America. And well, doesn't that just say it all? It comes out officially this October, but you can pre-order your copy today. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below.